Okay, cool. So welcome to the developer track. My name is Freddy Montes. I'm a product manager at dotCMS. I'm in charge of the Universal Visual Editor feature. And with me, Arcadio Quintero. He's been working with us in the same feature. So let's start. The agenda for today, what's UVE? Even though, yeah, Preston already said it. The impact of UVE, the SDK, and then we're opening for some QA questions. So UVE, like Preston said before, UVE or Universal Visual Editor, the interpretation of the feature, a lot of people are doing different things. The problem that we're trying to solve, it's mostly the same for the most part, which is basically we need a piece of software that people can use to edit any UI channel, let's call it. That includes web pages, but that also include mobile apps and probably AR experience, you name it, right? In our case, we started with editor in the web page ecosystem, and for ourselves is basically real-time, in-context page content editing. That's what we're building right now. It merged the flexibility of headless CMSs in the terms of like you can edit headless architecture pages or traditionals like the ones that we have since forever, right? And one of the things that I really, really care about is collaboration between developers and the content authors. The impact of UVE that I was seeing out there, talking to a lot of customers and a lot of prospects and POCs and demos that we're putting out, what we're trying to do here is allow content author to make the visual updates directly and make sure that the publish process is not only fast, but is enjoyable. It's not something that stresses them out. That's what we're looking for here. And from the developer perspective, we're making a lot of effort making sure that developers can use whatever they want. Because I'm a developer, and I always want to use the latest thing. I'm annoying, so I want to make sure that developers can enjoy the code that they're writing, and we're not forcing them into any particular language syntax or templates or anything. So yeah, I'm basically building this for myself. So this is a proposal of UVE. If you compare this, very similar to a page builder with some specifics, of course, for dotCMS. And for us, UVE is not only about this UI. It's not only about the UI that people is going to build their pages or edit the content or publish it. It's also about the SDK, the ecosystem that we're putting out for developers to be able to build the experience that then the author will be able to use inside this. So that's why we are tailoring all these different libraries, and we are making them as agnostic as possible, especially the dotCMS client, which is the one that we use to interact with the dotCMS endpoints and other features. But then we are building a specific for the most popular libraries and frameworks, starting with React, Angular. We also have a library for experiment, which is our proposal for A/B testing. So now you can build A/B testing experience within headless architectures. And of course, we're still working on this, so there's going to be dotCMS/ a lot more. And let me show you a demo on how it works. So I'm going to need to put this down here, and because I think I speak loud enough, you will be hearing me. So here is, I'm having a dotCMS instance running here locally in Docker. Now here I have a Next.js app that we're putting out as an example. And I have an Angular app that we're also putting out as an example. All these is using our libraries of dotCMS client, dotCMS React, dotCMS Angular. And basically, if I open localhost 3000 where my Next.js server is running, this is the page that we build at dotCMS, or somebody builds in dotCMS, and this is the representation of that page in Next.js. And if we go to localhost 8080, which is where dotCMS is running. This is basically the same page, but just built as with our traditional templating system. And if I go to localhost, this is the same page with an Angular version. So as you can see, there is no big difference besides some styling in CSS. But the cool thing, or the really cool thing about this is the fact that you can edit any of these pages, and from the content author perspective, there is no difference. So let me just log in real quick at dotCMS. Let me double check. Yeah. So if I try to edit any page right now inside this version of dotCMS, this is the editor and this is the traditional page. In this case, the content author don't know if this is React or Angular or whatever. They just don't know because the experience that we're building is exactly the same. So now I'm going to do some settings right here in our apps section. And I have this right here. And this setting, let me make this a little bit bigger. So this setting right now is basically the way that we tell dotCMS what to load when you're editing a particular page. In this case, a particular folder. So basically what I'm saying here with this pattern is when you are trying to edit any page inside the campaign folder, you're going to use this URL or this preview page. When you're going to edit this page, you're going to use this one. This one is Next.js, this one is Angular. What this allows is that when a content author go to example to a campaign page, this is the Next.js version of that page. The content author don't know anything, and from here the content author can, drop content, edit content, anything, right? If I try to go and edit another page, let's say the index, the home page, now this is Angular. This is literally the Angular app that we have there, and again, from here I can come here and edit this, and I can say, and the content author don't know anything. And even if I go to a completely different page, let's say blog, and I try to edit this is again a traditional render page. The experience is the same, super fast. I still can drag and drop stuff around, and the content author just don't know anything. They don't care about it. And this is basically the experience that we're providing with the Universal Visual Editor. And all this is possible because of our SDK. So I want to show you real quick, not a snippet of code, but some of the code that we use for Next.js. For those who are familiar with Next.js, the way it works is basically you put a React component inside a particular folder and they render that as a page. Very similar. So we're using this syntax right here in the folder. This is a syntax that they use to catch all the routes. That means that whatever you throw at that localhost /3000 is going to be rendered with this page component. The cool thing about this, and this is one of my favorite parts, is the fact that you don't have to, as a developer, come here and create a new folder every time a content author go and creates a new route or a new page in the system. You're basically catching all of them here, which leads to dotCMS routing system, or file system actually, to be able to give the freedom to the author to create all the pages they want, right? So if you open this page, as you can see here, we have the dotCMS client that we're using, and this client basically, this is how it works. This is how you initialize the dotCMS client. You import it from the NPM, and then you pass the URL token, the auth, the site ID. If you don't provide a site ID, it goes to the default site. And finally, we can pass on request options, and these request options are for the fetch API, which is the native API that browsers and Next.js are now trying to unify. So we don't need to do anything too clever here. We can stick to the native API. Once you have that, and I'm going to go to the actual React component, this is where we can just fetch the page from the dotCMS client, and we pass the URL of the page, the language. In our case of dotCMS, you can pass a persona, if you have some kind of different personas, or you can pass a variant if you're using experiment, which Arcadio will talk a little bit right after. At dotCMS, we also have a navigation API, so that means that you can use your navigation API to fetch all the routing, and then you can build your own navigation. And we also have vanity URLs in case that our content author are doing some kind of redirects, even permanent or temporary. All that can be handled inside here. All that is provided. The page API of dotCMS provide even that. And finally, we create a custom component where you can use literally any JavaScript any CSS library that you want. We are not attached to anything here. And this is the key part right here. This is a component that we provide, the dotCMS layout component inside our React library, that basically allows the developer not have to care about all the grid system. Like if the user in dotCMS, you can build rows and columns and different width and offset and everything. So the developer don't have to care about that. The only thing that the developer needs to care about is this section right here, where basically he's going to map every content type in that page to a particular component. So that means that if you have a content type called banner, right, you can just create your banner component, and again, you can use anything you want in the CSS. In this case, for example, we're using to render an image, the image component from Next.js. We're using Tailwind for all the styling. We're using Link again from Next.js. So there is no limit here. You can use literally anything you want. And then you can pass these components in the dotCMS layout component along with the page coming from the page API. The data came from the page API. And that's what drives this experience right here. So all these pages rendered with that component. So you don't have to care more about only passing your components, setting your styling the way you want, and you're good to go. And that makes that page editable. Pretty much that's it. There is nothing too big around that. The same happens with Angular. The code is very similar. It's just, Angular code, which other people don't like. And now Arcadio, I like it, but a lot of people don't. Arcadio is going to show us about experiment, which is the A/B testing. And after that, we can do a little bit of QA. So there you go. Picking up? There you go. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
All right, well, let me try to make zoom to this. For any reason it's not working, but here we go. Well, beside all of this of headless Universal CMS, sorry, my English is not the best. Okay, we want to handle all related to A/B testing because it's important for us handle that part inside this technology. We create a library related to that to handle that. It's so simple. Related, we use sorry, it's my first time doing in English. The only thing you need to do here is wrap up the component to handle all related to experiment. This part here, you can see that in our example Git repo. You need to do a few details there. Let me, here. Okay, we have a few details before start or catch or to redirect all. We need to the API key, the server. If you want to see what happened in the console log, to see, let me exit presentation. Okay, these values come from the app, the application, the analytic integration. This step is already done, but I don't know. We need to explain. We have a documentation for those steps. What happened here? You put a few code to generate the analytic key. That analytic key is necessary for handle all. That the SDK, the thing do is send automatically events to our cloud to detect if you are assigned to the A or the B landing page. Let's show a little bit here how we can do that. Example, I did, the index, the home. This page have an experiment right now. Already set, sorry. You can, let me, a second, to see the configuration. New configuration. You can see the original, and you can create different variants for this page. You can go here. If you see here, come to visit us, is the variation. And the original said, explore the world. If you go to the headless, this is the Next.js. This is the index with the same URL running, and this is with the default value. All of this is assigned automatically. All the values of the navigation of the user is sent to our server to track all of that. To later, you can go to the part of the results for take a look at what is the winner. No, the configuration, not the winner. You can see here the different assignation. In this case, I set up a basic goal, but if we have a different goal, different ways to track that. Yeah, I think it's that.
See, in short, also, as you can see in the UVE or in the Universal Visual Editor, you can actually create different versions of the same page and then put them into an A/B testing. Yeah. And we're providing not only the UI to do that, but actually the SDK that you can then implement that in your pages because, again, you're controlling the rendering. You need to control the different versions right there. And so if you have any questions, let's open some QA.
Yeah.
The results, you mean the results? We don't have that yet. We're still working in a few features for this, but it's definitely something that we need to figure it out if there are some kind of standard that we can reuse. Yeah. We haven't got there yet. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So how many frameworks do you plan to implement, like, in the Universal?
All of them.
Oh. Okay, so the next question after that, how do you plan to deal with the maintenance? Because, like, building is very nice, but then, like, you will have like 20 different frameworks to worry about and maintain and stuff like that, right? So that would be my worry. Maybe
So,
other partners do it as well.
so definitely,
Well, the client is
the client is a the client is a standalone. I mean, you can use it with any framework because at the end it's just interaction with an API. So it doesn't require any particular framework to work with. In the case of the render libraries, which are like React, Angular, Vue, etc., right now we are Angular, React, Next is Vue. And we're basically paying a lot of attention to the data results coming out for like a state of JS poll and all those sort of things, keeping an eye on those to see what's next. But I don't think that beyond those three, we're going to do like anything too advanced. I mean, we're looking at Svelte, because for example, the next framework that is actually making a lot of noise and that I already seen people using it is Astro. But the cool thing about Astro is that you can use React. And we're literally about to create a Astro web app using our React components, and it should work. But then after that, is Svelte of those sort of things, we're probably going to focus more in other stuff like React Native or something more oriented to other things. The other thing that we're doing is we're building a document that is going to explain how to build your own library. I think that will be more useful than actually trying to do all of these things. And last but not least, there is this framework there is this library called Mitosis that technically can take any component and turn it into another library. Apparently it's really good. I haven't tried it myself, but definitely something that we're gonna put some time into experiment with it.